Dude, FirstNet home internet, the bomb, bro. If you ain't got fiber, if you don't have like a legit coaxial cable connection, yeah, for sure. So we'll be talking about that initiative. I think that one's pretty big. It's important. Let's see here. What else? I think we're also going to be talking about AT&T's current position in a competitive wireless market amongst Verizon and T-Mobile, obviously. A lot of people view them as a distant third. I disagree, but AT&T's CFO actually spoke to it. Or no, I think it was the CEO of the communications business segment. So that's basically, I mean, his only boss is really John Stankey. So that's a big wig, as they say. We'll talk about the Tutela research from the story I did this morning about T-Mobile's 5G performance thus far and whether or not it's actually made a tangible, upgradable difference to people's experiences on the network. And then also, I'm going to go over the most recent SMT community poll. Gave it about a week or so. And, yeah, man, I'm disappointed. Man, I am disappointed, and I'll explain why I'm disappointed. The SMT Nation let me down. I don't often say that, because normally that's not the case. The SMT Nation usually comes through for me. But this time around, they let me down in a big way. So, and I'll tell you guys what happened and why I am disappointed. Because I thought we knew better than that. Anyway, let me go ahead and switch over to the video feed. 3, 2, 1, and switched. Yeah. All right, what's going on, ladies and gents? The time of this recording, it is June 4th, 2021. Just for kicks and giggles, let me know that my audio is okay. You know, sometimes my daughter is down here and she messes with the cables and she messes with like all my stuff. So if that is an issue, let me know. All right. I'm going to start with the first couple of stories. A little bit of overlap from the story from this morning. I already did a video. I covered the topic, but I want to bring it kind of as a discussion point here and get some of the feedback from you guys in the live chat. So, all right, sound check is good. Excellent. Thank you. Pete's here. Good. Moose is in the house. Good to see you guys. All right. All right, I'm going to open up actually with the AT&T piece. All right, so this story was, it was just questions that were happening at an investor conference. I don't know which one. There were like 3 this week or something. I don't know. The last couple of weeks have been loaded with investor conferences. Basically, investors want to know where to put their money. So they ask questions to these executives, hoping to get answers that allow them to better spend their money. You know, where are we going to dump our thousands or whatever, thousands of shares? Where are we going to buy from? So this has to do with the questions that Jeff McElfresh was fielding from some of these investors. And most of it revolved around the fact that AT&T has a perception that they're in third place in wireless. Now, the thing is wireless is one piece of the AT&T business. They've got fiber and internet. They previously had media. They're spinning it off with the, Warner Media and then Discovery. And, so that's going to change. But for the time being, they are still going to they're going to be an internet service provider. They're technically a holdings company, but they're going to be focusing on wireless and wireline in the case of fiber optic. They still operate, the DSL and the fixed wireless on a smaller scale, but the end game is fiber and wireless. Anyways, CEO Jeff McElfresh wanted to make sure that people knew the direction of the business and where they felt they stood in terms of their perceptions of themselves. He reconfirmed the main focus being wireless and fiber. Specifically with wireless, he spoke to the 5G piece. He likes the place that AT&T is when it comes to their 5G positioning. So whether it's spectrum position or its preparation, for building out the network and getting it ready for 5G, where they are in the technology advances they're planning, all those things that we'd want to know about their future, and of course the investors would want to know. He spoke to that. Moving forward, no media in the way, so basically they can focus their upgrading and their efforts on the wireless and fiber side. He spoke at the conference specifically about growth, and he wanted to make sure he drove home the point that they want to grow the business. So a lot of people think AT&T's endgame is just to be as profitable as possible, and that is true. They really do. AT&T most definitely wants to focus on keeping their ARPU up. They want to be a profitable company. They don't want customers that they can't make money on. They're willing to give you a premium experience. They want to sell you the premier wireless offer. They want to sell you the premier fiber offer, all of those things, but they want to be able to make money on it. So he pretty much confirmed it. We're not going to approach a business segment in a region or a place with a service that is not premier and we can't make money and be profitable with. So that confirms, their growth is tied to the fact that they have to see it as they can be profitable and grow their long term. And it has to be both simultaneously. They want to grow, but they want to grow with profits. All right, so I think that's a bit of a jab. And the reason why I think they took a jab is I think they're taking a jab at T-Mobile, actually. And the reason I think that AT&T's Jeff McElfresh was taking a shot at T-Mobile is because CEO of T-Mobile, Mike Sievert, a.k.a. Eugene, a.k.a. Sweaty Armpits, he takes a different approach. He's Mr. We're going to take growth however we can get it. That's one of the things that I've always commended T-Mobile for is they will gladly take the profitable customer, but they will gladly take any customer. They will try to find a spot for them within their business operations. So if you want a starter unlimited plan, they offer one. If you want the essentials, right, the bare bones wireless offer, whatever, they got a spot for you there, right? So they're not just focusing on the premium customer like Verizon, right, trying to upsell all their current customers, not really trying to grow from the bottom up and stuff like that. I know Pete's saying AT&T said we don't like poor people. Well, I mean, you don't have to be rich to have home internet. So, but yeah, I get what you're saying, Pete. Yeah, I mean, it kind of, the optics sometimes when these CEOs speak, it's almost like they're disconnected from reality. I mean, we're talking about ladies and gentlemen that make, $5, $10, $15, $20 million annual. How could they possibly relate to somebody like us who maybe works an hourly salary or a small salary job? I mean, there are people here in this chat who probably make, what they make in a year, he probably spends on a vehicle that he gives to his kids. What's up, Sofac? Michael, good to see you guys. We got Delon. We got Tito. Good to see you guys as well. Erwin is in the house. The continued commentary from him. They asked him about, the operations of the company and the employees. And he said, we are a very competitive group of people here at AT&T. He said, we have very competitive personnel. The staff are very professional. We don't like being last. We're here to compete and we're here to excel and be very good. So I was really happy for that, obviously. I mean, that's what you want to hear. You want to see that a company is willing to compete for business. You want to see that they're also willing to take themselves seriously and try to do the best they can. A lot of the times when we think about AT&T, you just think these are a bunch of greedy people who don't care about anybody else. All they care about is that, their bottom line and how much money they make. And they've got this nice cushy job that's secure and they don't have any concerns in the world and everything's fantastic and cherry and great. But it's good to see that they feel the fire. Homie Mike West is in the house. It's good to see that they feel the pressure to want to perform well. So we're glad to hear that. He went on to say, we don't like losing share to cable companies. Well, that's good. Who the heck wants to lose market share to cable companies? Cox Communications, trash. Comcast, Charter, Xfinity, Time Warner Spectrum, all those companies, absolute trash. What's up, Jamie? they don't treat their customers well. They usually don't, because they've got these very segmented places where they offer service, and it's usually like Pete describes it as being a cartel, and I agree, man. They get their little segment of town. You don't step on my territory, I don't step on yours, and we sell the service for whatever we want. So it's freaking annoying. And honestly, if it was up to me, I would move out of a city that didn't have competitive internet offerings. I would love to have 3 or 4 options. So it's good to see that AT&T is embracing that grind. They don't want to lose market share to these companies. In most cases, AT&T can offer a great fiber option for people at a competitive price. $35 for their entry-level plan. Even with the equipment fees and taxes, it's probably like $45 or $50. Those plans also qualify for the EBB program, emergency broadband, whatever, I forget what it's called. So, $50 credit, subsidized credit through the program, and you're not paying for anything. So it's good to hear those things. They also, CEO Jeff McElfresh went on to say, we want to be the nation's premier broadband connectivity provider. So they're setting goals. They want to do big things. They want to be the number one premier provider for connectivity, whether it's wireless, home internet, all of those things. They want to dominate. They want to be right there. They want to be a top name in the industry. Jay, good to see you, man. What's up, Carlos? Cox got hacked today. Good for them. Trash. What's up, Barry? Good to see you, man. They said, we don't want to lose the market share, but we have to remain profitable. So that just means you got to figure out the best way to do it. Jeff McElfresh has been at AT&T for, I think, the last couple of years. So he's really a John Stankey guy. If you think about it, John Stankey's been around for about that time as the leader of the company. I think like a year and a half or something like that. Maybe it's 2 years, or it's approaching 2 years. So they look like they're on the same page. All right, McElfresh and Stankey are on the same page. And honestly, things are looking pretty good at AT&T. They're growing as a company. They're adding customers in wireless. The fiber optic, the home internet's doing great. It's growing. They've got market penetration. They continue to grow in that segment. I mean, things are looking pretty good. Everything's in the green. Everything's positive. FirstNet's doing well, so he can be proud of that. That's been an ongoing growth sector. The fiber, I mentioned earlier, the wireless, the upgrade rates are high. People are ready for 5G with 5G devices. Promotions are really, people are digging them. They're taking advantage of those promotions. They're giving deals to current customers, right? Existing customers as well as new, getting people to switch. They're port in positive. I don't know. I think everything's looking pretty good. 70% of growth in the fiber industry is new, right? So that's awesome, because you're basically creating revenue that you didn't have before. So they're getting new customers in fiber. I'm impressed. I think McElfresh has done a good job since he's been there, honestly. Really, I think the fiber is going to be a place for them to actually grow in a big way, because for a customer who maybe doesn't have AT&T for wireless, maybe they have Verizon for wireless, maybe they have T-Mobile for wireless, but if the customer gets the fiber from AT&T, then maybe they're willing to switch for the wireless service too. So we like to call that deepening the customer relationship. And this is something that I think T-Mobile wants to do more of too with the T-Mobile home internet, with the wireless. If you have a customer for the home internet, but you don't have them for wireless, can you convert that? If you have them for wireless, but you don't have them for home internet, can you convert that? Can you get them onto both, services and products? That's really what the companies are trying to do now. Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile are kind of all in the same end game. How do we get a consumer to spend more on their account? So if a customer has an account that generates $200, how do we get them to spend $250? How do we get them to spend $300? Can they add lines? Can we give them a device promotion? Can we lock them in for a couple of years on our network? Can we get them the fiber? Can we get them the T-Mobile home internet, the 5G home from Verizon? That's really what it's about. So, honestly, things have been good. I think AT&T's got it right. I think it's different than what T-Mobile's doing. T-Mobile's doing what's good for them. AT&T's doing what's good for them, and it's working. I will say that some other comments that we got from Jeff McElfresh were really good, and I was happy to hear them. A couple last pieces here. We are humble. We will stay vigilant. Our competitors are good, meaning that they are competing. So he's speaking to Verizon and T-Mobile USA, obviously. So it's good to see them acknowledge that they do have good competitors, right? They're willing to compete for business. You know, hey, Verizon doesn't like to talk about competition. You know, T-Mobile only likes to talk about competition when they talk about how crappy they are and how everybody else is losing except them, you know. So AT&T is a little bit more transparent. They seem, in my estimations, to be a little bit more, I don't know, realistic. I feel like they're not trying to oversell anything, something that T-Mobile's been known to do quite a bit of in the past. When asking about the wireless build in 5G, he said, "We are not behind at all. We are way ahead in fiber. Whether it's residential, enterprise, or business, we are ready to compete in all market segments. Everything's rosy and fantastic at AT&T, according to CEO Jeff McElfresh." And honestly, there's going to be a market correction, in my estimation. I'm not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell your shares in a company based on what I say on my podcast. Sometimes it's just me thinking aloud. But honestly, there's got to be a market correction. At some point, AT&T's value is just going to increase. Their media is growing. HBO Max has been a success. The wireless has growth. The TV is doing fine. They spun off DirecTV and Discovery and Warner Media. The fiber is penetrating. It's highly satisfied product. I don't know what else investors need to see unless they're fearful that it's not sustainable. But honestly, I don't know. I mean, could we see AT&T add a couple of dollars to the shares by the end of the year? I'd say that's very realistic. I don't know. We'll see. Again, I am not a financial advisor. Nobody pays me to be one. I just play one on TV. Yeah. All right, so that's the AT&T thing. All right, I want to talk a little bit about the Tutela research thing. This was actually the story from this morning's video. For those of you that didn't see it, I recommend that you go and watch that at some point today. This Tutela research piece, this paper, this thing that they published, it was in combination of their data and also PC Mag and Washington Post as contributors. They had some interesting takes on 5G experiences on the T-Mobile network. Let me tell you guys something. This is not me picking on T-Mobile at all. This is more of a state of the 5G issue. So it's not even really important that it's T-Mobile. It's just to keep it accurate, we could just say they were testing the T-Mobile network as a case study. If the same research was done on the Verizon network or the AT&T network, I honestly feel like it would have showed the same thing. That's a huge assumption, but I'm just saying if I had to bet $5, I would say that the same results that they got from the T-Mobile data would be similar on the Verizon 5G or the AT&T 5G, honestly. Anyways, what they found and what the takeaway is that T-Mobile users that are in 5G-enabled cities, meaning markets that have built-out 5G networking, 5G tower sites, 5G devices in hands, what they're saying is that people on the 5G network with 5G devices are unlikely to notice a performance improvement over typical 4G LTE connections. So the apps that we're using on our phones are not changing our experience. You know what I'm saying? Like Snapchat, WhatsApp, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all the apps that predominate what we do with our phones the experience is not any different on 5G as it was with 4G LTE for the most part. So what in the world did somebody do when they bought a 5G phone? The phone itself, the handheld, is a vessel. It's a software, hardware combination that provides you with an experience, and the network is what drives your connectivity when you're not on Wi-Fi, not home, or you're not at a business that has a Wi-Fi, right? So you get on cellular. The only thing that they said offers a slight advantage was that the 5G network for T-Mobile does offer a little bit more capacity compared to the 4G LTE. So what that means is during peak times, during levels of high usage, for users that are on the 5G side of the network, they seem to have a little bit better capacity experience. So basically, those that are on 4G LTE only might have some buffering video. They might experience some video degradation, like the resolution might drop. So imagine going from like a 720p or a 1080p video feed and getting throttled down to like 480p or 360p, right? So it would get noticeably lower resolution, or it might buffer or have some like interrupted or discontinuous playback. So basically, the quality of service on the 5G side is really in the capacity. That's what seems to be helping. The actual data, like when we connect the actual data points that Tutela had, was that they ran speed test on the 5G experience and the 4G LTE experience, and they noticed that the 4G LTE experience had twice as many speed tests below 1.5 megabits per second. So those would be instances where if you're watching a video, it might buffer, or it might decrease the resolution of the video to like 360p or whatever. So basically what they're saying is that there's a little bit of extra capacity on the 5G side, so that helps a little bit. Here's the thing. Does this indicate that 5G is better than 4G at this moment in time? We don't know, because here's what we do know. There's 5G bands and there's LTE bands. The 5G bands might have more capacity because people are more so on the LTE side. So, like, let's say, for example, this is just a completely arbitrary number. There's 100 million devices on the T-Mobile network. 75 million of those devices are 4G LTE only. 25 million of those devices are 5G and LTE phones. Well, if that's the case, that might explain why the 5G network experience has more capacity. There's more devices that are 4G LTE only, therefore there's more people connecting to 4G LTE bands. So in that case, it's not really that the 5G network is faster on its own merit, it's faster because there's less people on it. Right? So if you've got 2 lanes of traffic, one lane, has, or we could do it like by streets. 2 streets going in the same direction. One street's got 2 or 3 really wide lanes, and then the other street's got like 2 or 3 really skinny lanes, or maybe even less. Let's say 1 skinny lane or something like that. Just to make it an analogy. Basically, they're saying there's less people on the 5G network, or there's more spectrum on the 5G network, and that's why there's more capacity. And it could be both, and that's why it's got some extra capacity there. So as of right now, this indicates to me that if the only thing that 5G has brought to us so far is the extra capacity, what is T-Mobile going to do with that extra capacity? Can they monetize it? Can they make money on it? The first thing that came to mind is monetize it through the T-Mobile home internet. If you have extra capacity, sell it. The $50, $60 asking price is popular with a lot of people. Put it in places where you have the added capacity and just sell that sucker money in the bank. Also, if you noticed, T-Mobile started to offer a more attractive hotspot plan. So you can sell for $50 a month, 100 gigs of mobile hotspot on a mobile hotspot plan. A person could take that and connect 2 or 3 devices. They got a laptop, they've got an iPad, a tablet, maybe some other devices, whatever, some IoT stuff, who knows? You can monetize it that way. You can generate another $50 per customer, something like that. And then also you can upsell the Magenta Max. You give people the quad HD, the 4K resolution video streaming. You give them an additional 10, 20 gigs of hotspot data. So instead of like 10 or 20 gigs, give them 40, give them 50. Give them the 4K resolution for the video. So when they're watching Netflix, they can set that sucker to the maximum capacity. They could hotspot a TV if they want. I think about all these use cases. That's how you would monetize the 5G. All right. So for the time being, the 5G is really using LTE anchor, right? The primary connectivity here in the U.S. is still 4G and LTE. And I think what it is there's a couple of things we need to see. Number one, we need to see standalone 5G, right? Not requiring an LTE as an anchor. And then the other side is we need wider channels. We need wider channels of low band. We need wider channels of mid band. And we need more and more millimeter wave. And you guys know how I feel about millimeter wave, right? Millimeter wave is the ultimate capacity layer. And it's the ultimate latency layer. It's the ultimate gaming layer. It's the ultimate connected device layer. It's enterprise. It's health and healthcare services. And it's automation and all these other things. Like, we just need time to get to that point. Nobody's saying that we're going to wake up tomorrow and all of a sudden 5G is going to be awesome and better than LTE. It's going to take some time. Is it 2 years from now? Is it 5 years from now? I don't know. This paper from Tutela indicates it's not there yet. No way. All right, let's go ahead and transition to the next story. Now, what are we about? 36 minutes in. All right, I want to talk a little bit about what T-Mobile is doing with their rural America approach. So what I like to call T-Mobile's Rural America initiative, it's basically what is T-Mobile going to be doing differently as they now scale as a much bigger company. Look, when T-Mobile was the small carrier under John Legere, so like early last decade, the expectations for the company were very, very small. Like, nobody had big expectations for the company. But they got a lot of positive momentum. They got a lot of switching, people coming from Verizon and Sprint and AT&T. They got a lot of, publicity. They had a loud, rambunctious CEO. They marketed heavily and aggressively. And they changed everything, right? When they got the merger, they basically became, one of three companies. And they swallowed an entire carrier in Sprint. So they got that market share. They're going to get a lot of their infrastructure. They get a lot of their assets. And now they have to go into rural. And the reason they have to go into rural America is because their competition is already there. So for the most part, T-Mobile doesn't really have much of a rural, they don't have like a presence. You won't go into rural Arkansas, generally speaking, throughout the entire state and see that, T-Mobile's very popular. The same thing in Ohio. T-Mobile's not super popular in rural Ohio, right? It's Verizon and AT&T, and most of the time it's Verizon. They've got the name notoriety. They've got the mind share when it comes to coverage in rural America. They took the national network build very seriously many years ago, and they've stuck to that. So in extended parts of the U.S. where T-Mobile really has not approached those regions, those are places where they have an opportunity to come in and snatch up some business. Joe speaks to Nebraska. That's one of those things, Joe. They've got to improve their retail experience in Nebraska, but they also have to do the tower sites too. They need native coverage, right? So the merger was loaded with lip service. We need to compete with China in 5G. We want to better compete with the big carriers, Verizon and AT&T. We want to close the digital divide. Here is T-Mobile's opportunity to actually do something like close the digital divide, right? Like, they can actually do that. And the way that you do this is by taking rural America seriously. And the way you do that is by living up to your merger promises, in which you said you wanted to be a part of the solution, and by connecting rural Americans with wireless and home internet services. So whether it's fixed wireless with the home internet and the home broadband, or it's through traditional mobility services, they want to give people an option and compete for their business. Now, when it comes to small markets and rural America, there's probably about 40 or so percent of the United States customers in these places. So why is it so high? Why is there 40% of Americans in, rural America and small markets? Well, the other markets obviously are larger markets. We're talking about cities that have 1 million or more people, right? Those are big metropolitan areas and they're big cities. But that's a lot of people, all right? The United States has an estimated 337 million people. So if you extrapolate these numbers of about 40%, according to estimates, that's about 54 million people with addresses that would qualify as small market or rural. So 54 million addresses means that's ripe for the taking for home internet as well as wireless. I mean, that's 140 million people that you would be competing for their business. So those people typically have Verizon or AT&T. So how do you compete, right? Like I would say, and this is just my guess, I always thought to myself that T-Mobile probably has 10% or less of rural America and small America business. Like 90% are probably with Verizon and AT&T. And then I would take that even further. I would say that between Verizon and AT&T, I'd say Verizon has more than AT&T. So like to me, it's been all Verizon. And I think T-Mobile sees the opportunity that they can actually compete with Verizon if the network is there and they can get retail space into these parts of the country. So T-Mobile currently estimates that their market share in small town America and rural America is somewhere in the lower teens. So to me, it could be like 13, 14%. I always thought it was like 10% or less. So apparently they've got even more than I thought. Now, if we're talking just wireless, they've got tons of room for growth there. Can they get that percentage up? Can they increase it? Any growth in that segment is going to be positive, right? They want to increase their revenue. They want to grow their company. That's exactly how you do it. So T-Mobile's goal, according to John Fryer, is to increase their market share for wireless to 20% by the year 2025. So that would be, what do we say, about 3.5 years from now. They want to go from the lower teens to 20%. So almost double, almost. Right? So they're looking to improve 35, 40% probably. That's pretty ambitious. And honestly, guys, it's not going to be easy to do that. Those people have had Verizon or AT&T for many years. I would say that most of these people have had Verizon or AT&T dating back to the 90s and the 2000s. And if not longer, and it just kind of depends whether or not they've been using regional carriers or whatever the case may be. Right? So not only do they have to compete with Verizon and AT&T in these places, but they also have to compete with like USA ComNet. They got to compete with, well, they used to compete with Shentel and Swiftel. Now they're parts of the T-Mobile network. They've got regional carriers that they've been competing with, the US Cellulars of the world and stuff like that. Yeah, Viero, I've heard of that company. They bought iWireless a couple of years ago. They're going to have to compete with them too. And people, if they're satisfied with those companies, they're not just going to be so willing to leave. But if T-Mobile can offer them a unique consumer experience, a better product, deals on phones, fixed wireless access, perks, T-Mobile Tuesdays, whether it's umbrellas or dog collars, or maybe it's thongs or ice cream, whatever the case may be. You give them stuff on Tuesdays, that might be a way to sweeten the pot too. Discounts, whatever. Hand sanitizer. No company has been able to do what we are going to do, according to John Fryer. So, hey, lofty goals, very ambitious. Hey, I'm good with it. I like the fact that they're shooting for the stars. They're going to go into a place that's very difficult to compete just because of scale. One of the things that I also notice when I look at the dynamics of the rural American marketplace is that, they're going to have to increase the retail presence. That's the one thing that I think Verizon and AT&T have adequately done over the years, is not only do they build the network with tower sites, but they also put stores in these small towns. And then people shop there. They buy their phones from there. They get to know the people that work at the stores. They learn to trust them and know them. And, there you go. And contrary to popular belief, the country as a whole is not digital yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, people aren't just ready to all of a sudden go digital. They still want to go into the store. They still want to interact with people. Now that the pandemic restrictions have been alleviated and reduced, people want to go back in and shop and go see the salespeople they used to know. Go in for troubleshooting and customer care. Screen protectors, cases, upgrades, adding lines, buying a tablet, promotions, buy one, get ones on the iPhones and all these things, right? So the first thing T-Mobile's going to have to do, obviously, is they got to take care of their presence. Building the tower sites, improving their network coverage, and then retail space. Their goal is to have a couple of hundred stores in the near term in rural America and small towns across the country. They want to have hundreds more by the year 2025. So basically in the next 3 or so years, they want to have like 400 or 500 new stores across the country. Again, very ambitious. They got big goals, big dreams. I'm all for it. Let's see how they execute this. But what I thought was crucial is they did something really smart, and this is something that T-Mobile has had absolutely no presence in. Already established retail places like Walmart and Best Buy, they have never been in. Well, they're starting to get that space now. They're starting to be popping up in these stores. So having Walmart as a partner in carrying your product and maybe having, sales reps and agents in the stores serving customers and selling the services, that's going to be huge in these places. By the way, in rural America and small towns, Walmart is like the go-to for everything. Look, where I live in the CLE, Walmarts are always packed. So I can only imagine what it's like in a small town, 200 or 400 miles outside of the CLE, as you're moving into like rural, less developed parts of the state. Right? So once you leave Cuyahoga County, stuff gets real rural. Yeah, Walmart's big time. So Walmart's become like a one-stop shop. You get your groceries, you could buy electronics, you could buy a bicycle, you could buy a fishing rod, you could buy propane, you could buy produce, bagels, medications. They got a pharmacy, they got it all, right? So why wouldn't you want to also do your wireless there if you could? If you had agents, if you had a stand or a kiosk. So I think that's what they're going to be doing. I guess sometime this year, or I think by year's end, actually, they're going to have like, I don't know, they were saying like in total they want to have T-Mobile in like over 2,200 stores. And they're talking about having like half of those in rural America and small markets. That's going to be huge. T-Mobile having a presence in Walmart's going to be a big deal. All of this is going to have to be accompanied by their network access, so they're going to have tower sites in these cities. You can't just put a retail location and not have towers, and vice versa. You can't just have towers and not have retail space, right? So if a customer is ordering everything online and stuff and they're cool with that, fine. But there are some people who don't do that yet or don't plan on doing it. So they go into stores. They buy services and phones, and they upgrade and do all of that. So it's going to have to be those two things, retail spaces and tower sites network expansion. The CFO, the chief financial officer, I think it's Peter S. Valdick. He was the guy that replaced Braxton Carter. The network will be a differentiator, he said. T-Mobile sees the in-store model as the primary channel of retail. The digital transition is ongoing, but is no way a primary. And he said this is going to be more of a situation where over the next few years, we'll see the digital move becoming more prominent. So here's how I look at T-Mobile's rural America small town approach. You build it, they will come, right? Build the network, create the retail space, let people see that you have a presence in their community. They'll walk into your store. They may say, hey, look, I'm paying like $200-$300 for my Verizon bill. The coverage is good. Sometimes it's kind of slow. It's congested. What do you guys got going on? You got coverage here. Can we see your coverage maps? Can you compare this? What's your pricing? That's where T-Mobile can kind of step in. And the same thing with AT&T. Maybe it's an AT&T town. Can T-Mobile go in there? If their network is competitive and their pricing is better, can they snatch up market share from the big two? Big Blue and Big Red. There's space there. What's up, No Radio? What's up, Adam? I'm positive there are people that are on Verizon in rural America that would like to leave. Whether it's congested tower sites or expensive bills or whatever, they would love another option. Okay, all right, last piece here as we wrap up the final stretch, the home stretch of the podcast. SMT Nation, look, I love you guys. You guys are the best, but I am really, really disappointed. Let me tell you something. Some of the people here in the SMT Nation, those that watch my videos and comment, they get involved with the discourse. They follow me on Twitter. Some of you guys are very, very much in tune with wireless. You're in tune with the pricing and the plans. You're very much in tune with coverage and the network technologies. Some of you guys are super intelligent and, very thoughtful and reflective on some of these things that are developing ongoing in the business of the wireless telecom. But I'm going to tell you guys something. When I looked at the most recent SMT community poll, I was disappointed. I was floored by the amount of responses, first of all, which was great. All right, so I had 41 comments on the poll. I had 1.2 thousand votes. Absolutely tremendous. You guys are the best. Thank you for that engagement. I really do appreciate it. Every once in a while, I throw up a poll. If you guys would like to vote in the polls, always go into the community tab and see what's going on there, or hit when you hit the notification bell, select all, and it lets you know whenever something is posted in the community tab or a video is uploaded. So go ahead and do that. But here's what I need to say. I'm really disappointed in some of the people in the SMT community. I thought we were better than that. I really thought more people were in tune with which carriers have the most truthful, honest, and transparent explanations of their networking. I really thought we established this. Apparently, some of you guys possibly may have simply just voted for your carrier or voted for your favorite carrier, but not actually voted on what you thought to be the truth. So what I mean is, in the poll, it was a question. Which wireless carrier is the most direct and truthful as it pertains to their network performance and coverage? What's up, John? Brendan, good to see you guys. Lily is in the house. So which wireless carrier is the most direct and truthful as it pertains to their network performance and coverage? 1.2 thousand votes. Thank you guys for that. 41 comments. AT&T got 30% of the votes. T-Mobile got 45% of the votes. And Verizon got 25% of the votes. So if we're going to rank them, that would mean that the most direct and truthful, 45% T-Mobile, 30% AT&T, 25% Verizon. Here's why I was really disappointed, and this is why I wanted to make sure I stated this in today's podcast. Historically, the worst carrier when it comes to coverage, network performance, and claims is Sprint. Sprint has always been the worst. Absolute trash. They've always been the carrier that has embellished, lied, and been disingenuous about their national network performance. I know that there are some pockets here and there where Sprint was very good. From a national scale, they have been mostly awful for most of the time during the LT era. So outside of some of those little pockets and regions and segments, they aren't very good. So they were always lying and exaggerating. But now with no Sprint, we're left with T-Mobile, Verizon, and AT&T. So the most overstated coverage and least accurate coverage claims. The worst culprits are Verizon, T-Mobile, and U.S. Cellular. Now, I didn't put U.S. Cellular in this because they're not really a national carrier, so I left them out. But Verizon and T-Mobile are the least honest, the least truthful, and the least direct about their network, according to research from the FCC. So when they do the analysis and they do it's those two. They are the least truthful and direct. I have spoken about this on at least 3 or 4 different videos stretching back to 2017 when I first started the channel. For people to pick T-Mobile as the most honest and truthful, knowing that data and research from the FCC and private sector firms have proven that they are the biggest culprits of lying about their network. That was disappointing, guys. I was really, really disappointed in the SMT Nation that 45% of you voted for T-Mobile being the most honest when indeed they are the least honest. 45% of you were wrong. Unfortunately. I'm not happy to report that. I really thought we were better than that. But anyways, U.S. Cellular apparently is like the worst. They're like the biggest culprit. Okay? U.S. Cellular is the worst. U.S. Cellular could not reach their self-proclaimed speeds over 50% of the time. So whatever their metric is, let's say that they said we can offer you 20 megabits per second at least. They couldn't do that over 50% of the time. So U.S. Cellular apparently is the worst. I didn't know that. Verizon and T-Mobile could not reach their self-proclaimed speeds 30% of the time. Again, Verizon and T-Mobile overselling their network. Coverage. 16% inaccuracy for Verizon, 21% inaccuracy for T-Mobile, 40% inaccuracy for U.S. Cellular. All of this according to 2020 data from the FCC, their wireless consensus data, as well as private firms including Ookla, Root Metrics, Open Signal, and there was some other one, whatever. AT&T. And I'm surprised, hey, I was surprised in this too. AT&T apparently is the least of liars. The least evil when it comes to being transparent about their network. There you have it. I thought we established this, actually. I know for a fact, I did at least 3 videos about it. At least. That even though we may not like the billing system at AT&T, it's a nightmare. It's atrocious. Billing problems persist at AT&T all the time. AT&T will charge you for their property taxes. AT&T will bill you twice. They will bill you for a phone that you returned. All those things happen with AT&T. That is 100% fact. But when it comes to their network transparency, their maps, their claimed coverage, their claimed speeds, they appear to be the most accurate amongst all carriers. Verizon, T-Mobile, those are the 2 biggest culprits when it comes to exaggerations. That's the data. That's what the research says. Hey, take it up with those that are getting paid to collect the data. Don't take it up with me. So now that everybody knows, now you know stuff. Now